What would daily operations look like for you?
While in terms of an FTZ operator, I'm going to answer it that way versus a grantee. In terms of an FTZ operator, there really isn't a major difference. There are some security aspects of an FTZ organization. For example, if you had an FTZ site and I came to visit you, even though I have my TWIC card, I have my JAXPort ID, you still would need to verify that I am who I am. I would have to sign in the logbook and say who I'm here to see, what time I get in, what time I leave, because Customs wants to know who's going in and out of that facility. If Customs came to visit you, fully uniformed, they still expect you to verify the ID, even though it's obvious that they're Customs. From a day-to-day operations standpoint inside the facility, as far as handling the goods, there may be some extra labeling requirements. However, if goods are already being imported, even prior to being an FTZ, those labeling requirements are pretty much still happening. So there's not much of a difference at all from an operations standpoint.
Great. What is the importance of foreign trade zones in Florida and United States?
Well, foreign trade zones were designed so that we could be competitive with companies overseas. We meaning anyone in the U.S. So what we want from the Foreign Trade Zone program is to encourage economic development in our areas through foreign direct investment. So we want those companies overseas that are making goods cheaper than we can. We want them to make them in the U.S. So we say, hey, become a foreign trade zone, and guess what? We won't charge you a duty rate when your goods come in. And what does that do? It saves them money and it creates jobs here. So from an economic development standpoint, that's the number one importance of the foreign trade zone. It's so that we can be competitive on our own soil and not get priced out of our own market.
Makes sense. Do you think there's any correlation between how well foreign trade zones do and the economy?
Absolutely. Businesses are not going to expand. They're not going to look into a foreign trade zone if the economy is not doing so well with whatever market they're in, whatever they're selling, whatever their product is. If people aren't buying it, it does them no good to save money on it anyway. Now there are other industries like the auto industry. They're in foreign trade zones. They've always been in foreign trade zones just because the benefits are that large. Whether the economy is up or down, they're in a zone. So it really depends. However, I will say companies that have been operating in a foreign trade zone over the last 5 to 6 years, when in the U.S. we've gone through our recession, they've continued to operate, and those companies are typically the ones who have stayed afloat. It could be coincidental, it could be because of the savings.
Business Journal, Jacksonville states that Jacksonville Florida trade zones are ranked number 2 in the nation. Do you know what type of underlying factors possibly make that?
My thought on that, there's many different rankings. You can rank by volume, you can rank by dollar value, you can also rank by acreage too. But in that particular case, because they're saying number 2, my thought is it has to do with the auto industry. Jacksonville is either ranked number 1 or number 2, depending on the time of year, for an auto port. We are number 1 in auto exports, and all of our autos in Jacksonville are out of Blunt Island typically. There's a small percentage of Toyota here in Talleyrand, but both operate in a foreign trade zone. So I'm assuming when they said that, it was with regards to our auto foreign trade zone because we are the largest there.
Okay, great. Do you think politics will be a part of expansion for foreign trade zone in Florida?
Well, the foreign trade zone is managed, I guess, or governed by the Foreign Trade Zone Board, which is a link of the Import Administration, which higher up is with the Department of Commerce in Washington, D.C. So from that aspect, you would say, yeah, I think politics has a play in it. But truth is, the regulations are so strict that it really doesn't matter who gets involved. As far as a political push, it is either you qualify or you don't. Either you're in the jurisdiction of the geographical area or you're not. Now, it does help if we have politicians that understand the benefits of a foreign trade zone and maybe they use it as part of their platform. You know, when they're speaking internationally, yes, that would obviously encourage the use. But as far as the make or break of it, the regs are what they are.
Okay. Do you believe there's a significant effect to the locations of the foreign trade zones in Jacksonville?
I do. So our foreign trade zone in Jacksonville is managed by Customs as any other foreign trade zone, but with JAXPort being the grantee of the zone and having Customs located physically in our main operations building for JAXPort, we have an advantage over other zones. And I say that because in order for a company to receive foreign trade zone benefits, they have to be activated by U.S. Customs. The fact of the matter is, as the grantee for JAXPort, okay, for our zone, the 8 counties we cover in Northeast Florida, that also our area port director of the U.S. Customs covers, I can walk downstairs at any given time and talk to them. We have a very good relationship. Our customs group is largely focused on commerce and bringing new business and growth and economic development, so they support the foreign trade zone. Also, we're very strategically located. We're the furthest eastern point port, which makes us pretty attractive. The access that we have to I-95, I-10, I-75, the rail access, all of that makes this zone really attractive. The fact that we can reach 64% of the population within 24 hours is huge. There's a lot of different things. And again, the fact that JAXPort is the grantee for the zone and has that relationship with U.S. Customs and understands all that makes our zone that much more attractive than another zone where, say, maybe the chamber is the grantee or the economic development office is the grantee. Foreign trade zones largely has to do with logistics.
Absolutely.
Okay, and supply chain. Well, we're the port, we know that. So that helps us.
Great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.